discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/BGUnlocked. The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome to a no run-through review slash kind of discussion on Mars, or for On Mars. We're doing the discussion to at least get it up before the end of 2019. And we'll do a run-through at a later date. But because this is a Vital Lacerda game, and it's his newest one, this game was heavy.
It was pretty heavy.
This game was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Which is weird because his games, they lead you into like a false sense of security. Like, I feel like reading the rules and watching the how to play video, I was like, okay, yeah, I got it. Like the game is easy to, like, learn the rules to, but actually figuring out how to play and the strategy behind everything and how everything interconnects, because it eventually does. Mm-hmm. Like, I think for the first half, we were like, I was slowly starting to get it, but then I'm like, I still don't really see how these how these join up and how both sides of the board make sense. And then, like, as with all of his other games, it's like, oh, okay, and then you start developing a strategy that kind of kicks it off. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of On Mars?
Wow. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Through the whole game.
You think through the whole game? Did it never click for you?
Not really.
Really?
I just felt like it was all over the place.
Interesting.
And I was trying to figure out why it felt like that, because I feel like I would be like, okay, yeah, I definitely know what I'm going to do on my next turn. And then I'd get there and I'd be like, what? Like, there's just too many moving compartments for my taste.
Okay.
I think you needed more time for it to click, because it clicked for me very late.
Really?
Like when we were on, like, level 4, 3-ish.
Really?
Is when it clicked for me.
Yeah, I'd say probably around, like, late level 2, like, early level 3, I was like, okay, I'm starting to get it. Because once we started actually playing, and then it was like, oh, okay, like, because I was like, what are we missing? What are we not doing? And then I realized, oh, we're not boosting our actions. Mm-hmm. We're not utilizing, like, the blueprints. We're not doing any of that. It's like, oh, okay, so now the trick is, okay, I need to start getting these advancements out to get the resources I need instead of getting actions to do it. And then I need to start utilizing the scientists to be able to do these for free, and that's whenever the game, like, really started kicking. I will say, out of all his other games that we've played CO2, and we've played Escape Plan, this was the one that I feel like at first is kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't think it is, especially after just having gotten done playing it. I definitely think it is cohesive, and all your actions do make sense, but this is also a slow burn game. Mm-hmm. Because, one, it's competitive.
Right. So
we are you don't have the slow burn of, like, CO2, because you're not working together the entire time.
It doesn't feel competitive, though.
It really doesn't.
It feels like it could definitely... You could almost argue it's, like... Semi-cooperative, because there's certain things you can do to benefit one another, but there's also things you can do to sabotage one another. So you could very easily have teams. Like, if we played with 4, I could have very easily been like, hey, Kat, work with me here. Let's sabotage Seth.
That's true. And I like that. I actually like how this game, like, we have a common goal of trying to colonize Mars, and there was even a point where there was negotiation. I was like, hey, what's your next action?
Right.
Oh, I'm going to build a wood plant. Okay, if you don't, then I can help you get your level up higher, which will only in turn later game help you. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of exciting, like, because there was that kind of cooperation, but it didn't feel like, okay, well, later I'm going to just screw you over.
It didn't feel cutthroat.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I got the points that I wanted to initially gain, and then you got your win. Funny enough, the one I helped upgrade, you got it to the last level. I feel like he wanted a competitive game that was, like, friendly, like that. But the fact that, okay, well, you're not screwed by, the tech tile that I got. Oh, sorry, guys. Looks like I'm the only one that can do wind plants.
because there's more than one of each.
There is, yeah. I think there's two of each. And I thought that was a really neat mechanic because you get to look at it and be like, okay, well, you got your plant, thing up to level 3. Okay, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Like, and that made it really nice because this game could really drag. And it drags early on, I felt. But I feel like once we, all started getting it, it was like, oh, it's the end of the game. We all just started building plants like it was nothing. Almost kind of like CO2 a little bit with the different... This game had elements of CO2 and elements of Escape Plan. I kind of had some... It's not... The mechanics aren't the same in any way, but I had that same vibe. But with the tech tree, I thought that was really interesting because it wasn't, hey, can I use that? It's, okay, here's a wind, I'm using it, I'm going to build that. Now you have the option of taking the wind or getting rid of it and upgrading it for free. I thought that was a pretty cool mechanic. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any negatives about the game?
It's definitely not a beginner game.
No, none of his games are. Hell, even Escape Plan, which is his lightest game, is not a beginner game.
I would,
even though it's the first game we played with you.
Yeah.
Was Escape Plan, and ever since then it's like, well, you're already in the deep end, might as well just...
You can play anything with
You can play any Vital Lacerda game.
Yeah.
One thing that the way I understood it at first, which is obviously wrong, that might make it interesting is my 4 people here essentially gives me 4 action points, so I could do maybe multiples of these. So hey, I could grab 5 resources, or I can grab 3 resources and upgrade a tech tree.
Yeah.
So there could have been an opportunity to make it a little bit more compound in your turns, because like you said, it feels very slow for that reason. It's like, well, I got a resource. Okay, let's fly.
Yep, and that's it. And that's where I think the very first level 1 and level 2 of the colonies was really slow, because that's what we were doing.
Right.
We were sitting there going, okay, yep, I'm going to get a resource. And we took one, and it's like, all right, you go. But it's like, in reality, it's like, okay, what strategy do I want to go to? And you kind of look at your in-game points, which are leveling these up to get the end-game stuff. And then the blueprints, like these are your points. Like, this whole game is centered around end game victory points, because like you said, we got up to 18, 20,
right?
And then at the end of the game, I ended up with 80,
right?
And then you ended up.
And that's how his other games have been.
Exactly, which I like, because in certain games that have a victory point track, it's very demoralizing. If I was at 60 and you were at 30 throughout the game, it's like, I'm not even gonna try.
Right.
I always like the excitement, because like this game was, you and I, it was like, you were ahead by a point, and then I was ahead by a point by each little check mark.
I will say the slow progression is thematic, though.
I agree,
because if you're like, hey, you 3 have just been dropped on Mars, well, you're not just going to be like, I'm just going to build 3 plants right now. You're going to be like, okay, we need to start scavenging resources little by little, and then it compounds from there.
Exactly.
So I do understand it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think, because you were like, I'm finding this game hard to be thematic, and I was agreeing with you for a while, but then once the game started clicking, I was like, this is thematic. Every action, once again, is thematic, in terms of, I like how you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to build all power plants and get all those points. It's like, nope, you don't get points if they don't ask for it.
Exactly.
That's a really neat mechanic. I think the blueprint thing is really cool. I like how this isn't hard to do. But another thing that we didn't do, which was, we have 4 robots. No one ever got more robots out. So then the game's kicking even more if you can get resources, move your rover around to get those... development tiles, which was an end-game point.
I thought your robots just couldn't get the resources.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is like, you use these to get... You're right, but you use your rover to collect the resources, and then you have multiple robots. You're not having to have one run all over the surface of Mars to build a wind plant. You have one over here trying to deal with, greenhouses, and you have another one over...
Yeah. And they gave us a robot for every, almost, other than mining every element.
Essentially every element, except for minerals.
Yeah.
Which funny, because I got the second robot out, and there was a end game thing, and these aren't the same either. So that gives you some variety.
It's got change each game.
Yeah, there's some that are still in the box, and others is going to be dependent. But I was like, I didn't build a single hydro plant, and I had the most robots out. That'd be 4 points each time. This game just actually, once, like as all those other games, like once it starts to click, like I think it's so good. Like everything just makes sense. I'm really trying to think of negatives I love that the pace of the game is actually by the players too. You have your 3 missions.
Mm-hmm.
Like if everyone wants to dogpile and finish those, you finish all 3 by level 2. I don't know if that's possible.
Jeez.
But I mean, I guess it could be. But then it's like, all right, game's over. Like we finished all 3 missions, and then as the colony gets better, we only need to do 2 now.
Right.
So he found a really unique way to shorten the game. And this was actually the short game. He has 2 different types of missions: short missions and long missions. And in the shorter game, you do 2 short and 1 long. Longer game, 2 long, 1 short. So I think that's really cool. And did you guys have any negatives about the game?
I'm struggling to think of any.
Right? Like, I mean, I can't really think of anything. I like the fact also that if you get the scientist, once again, like, you're not just like, oh, I get this one, sucks to suck, I picked it before you. It's, I mean, I get to use my free ones, but hey, you have a wind one over here if I have the wind scientist. Or in this case, I have the settlement one. If you've got one of those, it's like, oh, I want to use that. Well, now you get to use it for free too.
Right.
And I think that's a really neat mechanic too, because pretty much everything that you do that is cutthroat, or it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you do have to think about, well, do I really want to use his tech?
Right.
He's going to get points, and he's going to be able to build.
And he gets an upgrade.
He gets an upgrade, or now he can actually build a bigger compound of those plants, which is going to give him a lot of resources to build even more. It's a slick game. I would say, in terms of where would you rate this? Like, do you think this is more complex than CO2?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, and one of the positives I wanted to bring in is, and all of the cards, like the blueprints or these, it's rare. In this game, I never looked at one. I was like, oh, no way.
Oh, yeah.
Like in CO2, we had some where like, that's never going to happen. We just disregarded it because they're like way out there. Yeah. But all these are like, I could have done that.
Yeah.
Or, like, it's like, I could probably do that. Mm-hmm. It's not discouraging.
It's believable, like private objectives.
For Seth and I, we wound up forgetting about them and then looking at them and be like, oh, we did this.
Yeah.
Well, I did too.
I remember looking at them, and I like how they give you 3, but you can only complete 1, because then you have options.
And you have the option to trade it in for the gem.
Yep. That's also true.
And it's adding all of those layers of options.
Yeah, that there's no, screw you, sorry, I got there first.
Right.
And another game that's one of my favorites is Scythe, and they give you 2 objectives, but you can only complete 1.
Mm-hmm.
So here it's like, oh, okay, well, I can do that one. Like the other one I had was have a scientist and have a completed objective, and that's the one I was initially going to go for. And then I was looking at them again, because this one was, I needed to have 3 advanced buildings in that like pattern, and I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. These are all going to feel impossible at the beginning of the game.
What are these?
Those are just, and that's another cool little neat aesthetic thing. So each of these that's C, A, and B. These are just to remind you that action corresponds to that goal. So when you go there and like I'm gonna grab a tile, you're like, oh, this means that it's this one, so I need to take it down.
Okay, I never caught on to that. So.
Yeah, and the big thing about On Mars that you have to understand, unlike CO2 and unlike Escape Plan, is this game is essentially 2 games. Mm-hmm. You have one half of the in orbit and then the other half on Mars.
Right.
And that was where it was just disjointed.
Right.
Because we were sitting here like, I understand these actions and I understand those actions. I don't understand how they work together. And like for most of us, it was halfway through the game that I was like, oh, okay, I need to get resources to be able to go and build these. And a lot of times, this is kind of your setup,
right?
The in orbit, and then you do a lot of your actions there.
Right.
I just think it's really cool. I think it's thematic too. I love the worker placement part of these, where it's like, oh, if I put a lot of them over there, well, if I travel, I'm not going to have them with me when I go there. Yep. So this game's just pretty neat. I like how you're also not stuck waiting on the shuttle, because as you get more and more efficient, you're not relying. The shuttle's taking 3 turns,
right?
Because they're like, well, we don't have to go there right now. Mars is the rules. It's like it's self-sustaining,
right?
So it's like, well, we don't need to go down there.
But you could say, screw that. I'm just going to fly myself.
Yeah, but you're giving away 3 victory points, right? Which it's so good. It's so good. They have other endgame scoring, which are these contracts that I love the double-edged sword of, okay, like, I can take all the blueprints you want. Like, I have, all these people. I'm going to get all those blueprints. Well, as I found out, I lost 5 points because I realized, I'm not going to be able to finish all those, so you have to weigh your options.
Right.
Kat, you've been awfully quiet dealing with this one.
Yeah, well, you were pretty much...
You agree, disagree? Anything that you particularly liked? I mean, you played through this one more than CO2, so I would assume that this one was easier for you to grasp.
Yeah, don't take that from me wanting to play CO2.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you quit CO2. Yeah, let's play it right now. Yeah, I have it also. Like, I ripped this up. It's just all laid out. All right, guys. But you quit playing CO2 because once Steven and I were just like, shut the fuck up!
Yeah, I mean...
we know how to do it.
I mean, the only reason I finished this game is because you helped me with my turns, and so I feel like if we were actually to play this, like, on camera, I probably wouldn't even be at, like, less than 45 points.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it, is that I never felt like it would put me at a disadvantage to, like, think out loud.
That's true.
That's also true.
If I was like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this next turn, like, yeah, like, if you really wanted to be cutthroat, like when I was talking about, hey, I'm going to put a greenhouse there, she could have put
one there and just stopped you.
But I could have just still built one there. I just wouldn't have gotten like,
the extra plants.
The extra plant, which it's not game breaking because these don't mean anything at the end of the game.
That's true. This game is is competitive, but in a lighthearted way.
In a very lighthearted way, and I don't like very heavily competitive games because I'm not a very competitive person, and that's one of the reasons I think I like this one more.
Yeah, I clearly like competitive games, and I am a competitive person, but I don't like when there are cutthroat games just for the sake of being a dick.
Right.
Like for her to be, what was it? It was like a water plant or something, or her settlement.
Yep.
For her to do that, like, that would have been a dick move.
And she doesn't gain anything.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with being cutthroat, but it's like, look, I'm doing this because here's the benefit that I gained from it, and stuff like that. This game doesn't really have that. You would have to go out of your way to try and dick someone over. And at the end of the day, you get a nice aesthetic board. Like, this is our thing on Mars. I
really like how all of these link together with the little tunnels.
Yep. It's really neat. Now, you're not going to have a whole lot of insight on this, but there's another game called Terraforming Mars, which is it's a board game, and it's an engine building with cards. A lot of people are going to be like, well, should I have this one, or should I have Terraforming Mars? And for me, I would definitely say Terraforming Mars. This game is more up my alley, but Terraforming Mars is also so great, and it's easier to learn. So, and you kind of have... It feels a little bit more thematic just because of all the cards that you get. That's the cooler part. Here, your actions are more thematic. So pick your poison, but understand that this is Vital Lacerda. It is Eagle-Gryphon game, so this is a difficult game to learn. I would say they're so radically different, though. That was a worry I was going to have, was this was basically a more advanced Terraforming Mars, and it's not. So you can own both and get your feel for... This is a very Euro-heavy. The other one is also Euro, but not as difficult. So, since this is more for you, because you didn't play CO2 quite... So where would you rank this with the other three? Like, so, Escape Plan, CO2, and then...
I think Escape Plan's on the bottom, and that's probably because it's the first one I played of his.
Sure.
And I don't think I was ready for the depth.
That's fair.
I think CO2 is still my favorite because of the theme of it.
Yeah.
It's something I'm somewhat passionate about, and I really got into it.
Yeah.
And
if
I
it's
played...
cooperative.
Right, which is a little bit more my style, but like, I think if I played this again, I would be a little bit more into it. Usually when I stand up is when I'm like...
That's true, you were
clicked.
standing up by the end of it.
Yeah, if I am like kneeling in my chair or like standing up, it's normally by then it's clicked. I'm like on top of the board, like, okay, like, I'm like thinking a few moves
so
ahead.
I can do this, and because you were definitely thinking end game points, and it's like, okay, so what's my best optimization for... and we made mistakes along the way that probably would have resulted in some different choices, like the contracts. We probably would have kept that more in mind. And yeah, it was actually exciting to see, because at the beginning, I think I was at like 17, and you were maybe at 10, and Kat was at 10, And I was like, maybe this is going to be kind of a landslide. And then once you started clicking, I was like, oh no.
Because I was at 0 for
a while, like
round 2,
maybe two, colony 2 or 3. It was pretty funny because I was feeling pretty confident. Then I'm like, oh no, I don't think I'm gonna pull out the win.
Because you start looking at the board and you start totaling up the tech points.
Yeah, and I was like, well, because I was banking on the
right.
settlement thing, and that actually is a really interesting way that you only pull people on the side that you're on. And I spent people, and I put people on mines, and I was like, I'm not gonna, because that's 15 points, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get that. Okay, well, he has all his tech up, and I don't. I have this, but I'm losing out on 5 points because I didn't build one. I'm like, oh shit. It came down to me just having
right.
that, and the 1 extra point which I got from the point generator here. It's just, this game is fantastic. I mean, we can clearly keep talking about but I do want to know your thoughts on the two halves. What do you think of the traveling between the two?
It is the exact opposite of you guys. I didn't mind it at first. I felt like the first half of the game actually went by really quick. And
really?
And in the end, took forever.
Really?
Yeah.
For me, it's the exact opposite.
Same here.
I think it's going to start clicking with me, so I started to enjoy it
more. Well, because I guess I can see where she's coming from.
I was paying more attention to how fast the spaceship was going. Yes. And I was like, okay, we're bouncing back, and this is going great.
Yeah, you're right.
You did travel a lot going back, because thematically, we needed to. It's like, okay, we're only doing this. We have to be on Mars, and then we have to go back. And then now it's like, oh, Mars is fine. Mm-hmm. Like, it can do things on its own. That's where I was getting excited, because I didn't like I had to jump back, and then I'm like, crap. I want to do so much more over there. And once it was getting to 2 or 3 rounds on Mars, I was like, okay, I can do this action on this turn, and then this one on this one. I love the free flowing of executive actions. Like, there was a move that I was like, oh, if you do this for free, you're going to be able to build, which is going to give you this points. And then, like, you can chain a lot of combos and actions in this game. One other thing I gotta say that I do very much like is, and other games have done this before, so this isn't unique to On Mars, is I like the way that, okay, I am going to travel, so I'm going to go to the one spot. Like, I love when players get to dictate the turn order. Yeah. It's like, well, I could go to 4 and get an extra worker, but I really want to go right now. But it's also not as cutthroat. You're not getting screwed over if I go first. But you could indirectly, because it's like, well, I want to build a plant there. Oh shit, they used my tech and they did it before me. Mm-hmm. Not with any malicious intent, but turn order is important in this game, and I like that we get to decide instead of like here's the first player marker, it just passes around. Nothing wrong with that in certain games, but that's always my favorite way. Like, at first I was kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit bored at the beginning, because I was like, especially, I don't like when I can't figure them out. And so I'm like, but I felt like I was right there. And I'm like, but what am I missing? And then we all started kind of talking about our turns. And then like, well, this is what I want to do. And it's like, oh, well, this is... So we were kind of helping each other out. And then it's like, oh, this is how it all makes sense. Yep. I'm very pleased. For me, I think I'm in the boat with you, though. I think CO2 edges us out a little bit.
And I think it's the theme of working together on it that really excited me.
I feel like CO2 is also a little more cohesive. Like every action makes sense here, but every action was more realistic with that one. And I think that's why, because it is a real theme. Here, we're not doing this yet, but it's still a very cool concept. I think his games are just so fucking good. Like, they really are. Escape Plan is a blast, too. I think if I was to be on, like, the funner side, Escape Plan is better than all these, because it's a heist kind of game that does a really good job. Whereas a more depressing CO2, we're like, this is really happening. Wow, 2020, that's next year. God, I'm going to kill myself. And then here is the sci-fi kind of thing. So, with that being said...
You want to rate it?
We can rate it, because we could clearly keep, but we're just kind of beating around, or we're just kind of hashing over the minor things. So, scale of 1 to 10, let's go with Kat.
I will give it a 7.
7, okay.
Still a good game. Yeah.
Okay.
Just bored out of my mind.
Yeah. I was curious. Did you like Escape Plan?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I don't remember.
I'm gonna say this. I don't seek out his games.
I don't blame you.
I do not personally, at the end of a work day, want to sit down and go, I can't wait to fucking think for 5 hours. Like, nonstop.
I don't blame you. Like,
no, not at all.
So, yeah, I did like Escape Plan, but like, this is like a please bring this out rarely game kind of thing.
Or like on a weekend kind of thing where it's like you can relax.
Plan your day around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some reason why we haven't played the Gallerist. It's like this one, and thank you for playing, because this one came out this year, so I was like, let's do this one.
Yeah.
And then Gallerist we can do like on a weekend or something. Because I mean, hell, I love board games. I love his games. I don't want to come out after a 8-9 hour day and learn the rules, sit down, because his games are taxing.
Yeah.
But I will say, I'm hooked on his games though. He has another one I have over there called Kanban. You're making cars. Gallerist is about painting, and then he has another one, Lisboa. I don't know what the fuck that's about.
Lizards and bows.
Yeah, that's it. So a 7 out of 10. That's still a pretty good rating.
And I will also say this: the color scheme for this game is so freaking pretty. Because like
the artwork is always
Ian O'Toole does. I think he's done the art for his other games, beautiful. And it's always like kind of like an abstract kind of like like this is definitely grounded more in realism. Terraforming Mars does a really good job with the science side of things too. That one is also kind of similar because everyone's trying to raise temperature, get water, and then oxygen and all that. So that's also grounded. This one is a different kind of science. You're not worried about that, but you are making the plants that would be needed to live on Mars. So, let's see. I'm trying to think of what I rated Escape Plan and CO2. I feel like I gave CO2 probably a 9.5, if not a 10. As of right now, I still think CO2 edges this one out. Because of the theme and the cooperation. And so I think I'm going to give this one a 9. And if CO2 is a 9, then it goes up to a 9.5.
I was going to give it a 9 as well.
Awesome.
I did want to emphasize, so I don't think we touched on it, but how thematic this is.
Where it's yes.
It's like, hey, I need minerals, aka coal or something, to make power for myself, and then power allows me to get water. I can't grow plants without water, and plants give me oxygen.
Yep. The Mars construction cycle. Yes, I thought that was a really good thematic tie-in.
He does his research.
He really does.
He's a very smart man. I'll say that. Yeah.
And I remember reading that it did kind of explain as the colony expands over time, you will construct mines. Oh, never mind, that's not in there. I feel like he did explain that. Yes, you need, and then to get, and then wind goes back to your settlements, which give you the workers,
the breathing
to build the mines, and then it just goes in that cycle. And you're right, that's actually a really good point.
And I just want to emphasize the beauty of the artwork. Like to me, the box is phenomenal.
Is so good, yeah.
Like that's very eye catching. If I saw that in a store, I'd
be like, oh, what's that?
It's like, what is this? I mean, that is beautiful.
And then Vital Lacerda, nope. I am not smart enough for this game.
I'm just gonna have this on my shelf and
look at it.
Yeah.
So Ian O'Toole does a really good job with the artwork.
Yeah. CO2 is beautiful. This is beautiful. All the colors. How the hex is a very common theme. The pieces are always hexagon, which I think is very satisfying because they all fit together.
Yeah. It's cool because you can tell that it's a Vital Lacerda game by components alone.
Right.
And we keep talking about the artwork and how good it is. Like, one, production quality is amazing. Like, I like his wooden meeples, and his games aren't expensive. This was probably maybe $70. Where like these could have been minis, and it's like now it's 150.
Right.
And it's like it doesn't need to be. I like it's almost like a minimalist game.
They're nice meeples too.
They are. And then hell, where he does have artwork, like I like just kind of like the computer graphics kind of look at it. And then he has artwork over there for the different actions.
Yeah.
that I didn't even realize. And like you said, CO2 was also very abstractly and minimalist, kind of beautiful. So you're right. I mean, you guys are right. Like it's awesome.
And I just realized here, it's a zoom in of a section of Mars.
Oh, you are correct.
Yeah. There's a square on Mars, and the square is then blown up to your colony.
That's awesome.
Yep. You are correct.
And there's a lot of small things, but yeah, definitely a 9 for me. I think if I played it again, that rating might go up.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I understand it, but
I
like it.
And like I said, we will do a run through for this game. I just wanted to get this up before, so it's kind of a no run through review, but no run through as of this moment. So yeah, you guys have anything else? Oh, player boards are fantastic.
Oh yeah,
these are really good. Like, and you have two sides of being like, okay, so from orbit to colony, you have the travel phase, so you know what to do, and then here's all my actions, and they even explain what the boosting does. That's another neat mechanic too, which with some actions require you to have workers there, others don't. It's something that's been done in other games before, but I think is really solid here. So 9, 7. Why isn't it a 9? No, I understand. So
I already emailed Vital Lacerda.
He keeps making games, and I'm gonna keep going after him because he also does themes that aren't done. Like a lot. This one is like the Mars theme was like that was a huge thing for a while. I'm glad he waited because now the Mars thing has kind of died down. But the global warming thing, the heist thing, painting. Yeah. He has another one called Vinos that's about winemaking that I might get just because I love his games. But there is another wine game called Viticulture, which is also by my favorite company. So that's why I haven't gotten it. But yeah, like I'm keeping an eye out for all of his games that they're just he just knows what he's doing. I don't know how he does it, but it's amazing.
Yep.
So that's our thoughts on Mars, everyone. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.